Hi, I'm Erik Jones, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. The Sermon on the Mount was Jesus' longest and most detailed discourse on the way of life he expects his followers to live. It's filled with line upon line of practical and simple advice that is simple to understand, though much harder to practice. Right in the middle of that sermon, Jesus made a statement that is essentially meant to be the goal every Christian is to aspire to. Let's read it in Matthew 5, verse 48. Therefore you shall be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect. What takes just 13 words to speak in the English language is, without a doubt, the most lofty standard and expectation that's ever been given to human beings. According to Jesus Christ, we are to be perfect or complete. But not just perfection measured by human standards. He didn't pick a particularly righteous person in history, someone like Abraham or Moses, or some upright person in his audience, and then hold them up as the standard to attain to. No. His model for human perfection was none other than God the Father himself. In other words, Jesus said we are to model our character after the divine standard, not a human standard. In the English language, we have a phrase for having high standards: raising the bar. Well, when we're talking about the character of God the Father, that bar is unbelievably high. In fact, if we were going to use that as our metaphor, the bar would be way up there somewhere in space, far, far beyond our galaxy. Now, considering it from that perspective, we might then ask the question, did Jesus set the bar at an impossibly high level? Is he literally asking for the impossible? And if so, did he say these words to be discouraging? Before we address that, let's consider it from the human level. If you wanted to become a better chess player, whose chess game would you study? Magnus Carlsen, the number one chess player living today? Or maybe somebody who just learned to play chess a few days ago and has never won a match? Obviously, you'd set Mr. Carlsen as your standard, even though honestly speaking, you're probably never going to come close to beating somebody who is a grandmaster of chess like Magnus Carlsen. The point is this: if we want to grow in anything, we must make excellence our target and our goal, not mediocrity or even above average. That was really what Jesus was getting at. If you want to be a follower of God, a Christian, then you pattern your life after excellence. Scripture after scripture highlights that God is a being of complete moral excellence. He's perfect in all his ways. So, we strive to make his character our character. He is the model, he is the goal, he is the target. This becomes even more significant when we consider that we were made in his image, and our ultimate purpose is to be elevated to his level in his family. To be in the God family, we must develop the family character, that is, the character of God. Now, does that mean we'll achieve perfection? Well, no, not in this life. Even one of God's greatest servants in the New Testament era, the Apostle Paul, admitted in Philippians 3, verse 12, that he had not yet attained perfection. But he followed that humble admission with 4 words that, I believe, provide the key to properly applying Jesus' expectation of perfection. Paul wrote, "But I press on." Those 4 simple words succinctly summarize what our approach should be to Jesus' high standard. None of us are there yet, but we continue to press on with that standard as our goal. Every day, every week, every year, we should be making progress in that direction. Consistently and constantly chiseling off the carnality from our character, while seeking God's help to sculpt God's character into our thoughts, speech, and actions. So, my friends, continue studying the character of God. Keep learning more and more about how to apply his perfect, holy, righteous, spiritual character on the human level in your life. Yes, you will stumble, you will fall short at times, but keep going and never deviate from that high bar Jesus set in Matthew 5, verse 48. Be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect.
Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.